Are you tired of people just talking about their loaded Raptor Rs that cost over $100,000?
Or TRXs or Lightnings or anything from Ram pretty much that's heavy duty, or Chevy that's heavy duty, or GMC that's heavy duty, or Ford. Yes.
Yes. And actually, we're guilty of some of that.
We're guilty of a lot of it, but there are still some deals to be had out there.
So how about on this episode of TFL Talking Trucks podcast, we talk about the top 14, I said 14, most affordable pickups you can buy right now.
That's right. According to the internet, too, by the way.
Okay.
We haven't gone to dealership lots, but just so you know, we do know that in many cases, there are places here and there, you really have to look for them, that will sell these at least at MSRP.
Yes, and I want to do this. I want to go in order from number 14 being affordable, but number 13 a little bit more affordable, and all the way down to number 1.
There you go.
The most affordable. So we're not going to be talking about high-end ZR2s or AT4Xs or Rebels. We're not going to be talking about any of that. Just good old two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive pickups.
There you go. I'm sure you can already guess what number 1 is, but you might be surprised at what number 2 and 3 are. So
yes,
stay tuned. We're going to bring that, but maybe we do Patreon right before then.
Yes, how about that? We want to thank you guys for supporting us, as always. And we have quite a lot of engagement here on patreon.com. /TFL car. That's our only page on Patreon where you guys support us. Just within the last few days, RLLW supported us. I'm sorry, I don't know what that stands for. And then Joe Pasqualini supported us. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes. And then we also have a couple questions from Jason and Matt that I want to get to during the show because it relates to what we're talking about.
Okay, so we'll come back to those questions as we're going on.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. And also we'll hit, a tiny bit of news along the way probably too.
That sounds great.
All right, so let's start. Number 14 on the list is, drumroll, the brand new Nissan Titan.
There should be no surprise here that the Nissan Titan is not exactly what I would call a popular full-size pickup, and we've stood behind this from the beginning. It's a well put together, strong pickup that just does the job. And on top of that, there's quite a few features that you get standard, including its fantastic V8 9-speed automatic transmission, fairly comfortable interior, even with the base model. And this is a truck that, as you can see here, in this configuration still comes with, in this case, a king cab.
Yeah. So king cab in Nissan language is an extended cab,
right,
with suicide-style doors in the back that they've invented, that swing all the way over about almost 180 degrees.
Right, for easy loading.
Easy access.
Yeah.
That they came out with, in 2004? Am I right?
You're right about them coming out with a long time ago, but remember that, doors like this existed even well before that. I mean,
yeah, but I'm not talking about full opening.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the 70s Lincolns. Okay?
No. And you're also not talking about old Ram trucks. But yes, they do swing wide open. And actually, you can get children in the back relatively comfortably. But more importantly, you get the bigger bed right off the bat.
Yep, 6.5 footer.
Right. And in terms of a work truck, one that gets pretty decent mileage and doesn't really need anything special just to get up and go, it's quite a deal.
Yes, and the price, according to the Nissan website for sticker MSRP, is $40,605 for a two-wheel drive king cab. I know what you're saying. Andre, wait, hold up, 40 grand?
Yeah.
Yes, but we live in the world of $112,000 Hummer EVs, $109,000 Raptor Rs, $99,000 this and that.
That is correct. And on top of that, Nissan doesn't really build fleet vehicles. If they did, then they probably would have a fleet special where they would have an even more basic version, I should say, of this truck.
Yeah, and they used to, and they kind of pared down, right?
Right, they did.
They used to have a two-door cab, and unfortunately, they're still struggling. But here's a comment on Patreon from Jason Aaron.
Okay.
So actually, we've discussed one of his questions before, and thank you, Jason, for doing that. But now he says this. You guys rock.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay. It completely made my week to hear you answer my question. Thank you, Jason. Side note, I just bought a 2022 Frontier. I looked at the Titan as well because the dealership were dealing on them.
Exactly.
So that $40,000 price may be negotiable.
Unlike a lot of other vehicles out there, dealerships are absolutely dying to get Titans off their lot. Now, not all of them. So you guys may have a story of some dealership still marking them up, and I hear stories about that. But I also hear that there are people willing to wheel and deal in order to get Titans off their lot. So it's entirely possible that you might even be able to go like the old days, the good old days, under MSRP for one of these trucks. So keep that in mind. And once again, Andre and I both agree, we stand behind this truck. It's a solid, good truck. Not a lot of frills, but just a good, solid vehicle.
Yes, and if you're wondering about four-wheel drive, because it's important to a lot of pickup buyers,
Yeah, it
of
is,
course.
indeed.
The four-wheel drive system on the Nissan Titan costs approximately $3,200. So you are, of course, you have to step up in price, but even for $3,000, a little bit over that, you can still get a really good deal on a Titan. So
would you mind scrolling up? I mean, for those of you who aren't able to see, Andre is on the screen right now, and I'm looking at a King Cab S for $38,800.
that's before destination charges.
Oh.
So the prices we quote here today is it's usually $1,600. In the case of the Titan, it's $1,795.
Okay.
So actually, that's my kind of a gripe. The destination prices are climbing.
Yeah.
They continue to climb. No matter where you pick up the truck, you could be in the dealership 4 miles away from the factory.
Yeah, like
and
in Nashville or something.
and you're still paying $1,800 to deliver it.
Yeah.
What is the deal with that?
Well, that's just their way of getting a little extra, fundage on top of it. And I really do hate the fact that they're doing that.
That has to be negotiable at some point, too.
Well, I mean, especially, I would be willing to go to the plant if it was like here in the States and pick up my truck directly from them, just like we've done before, if they'd be willing to waive that fee. And you'll never see them waive the entire fee.
Well, of course, the dealership has to be involved. But still, we've done that where the dealership is right next to the factory, right?
I mean, literally next to the factory, right?
So, yeah, all the prices we talk about are with destination charges.
Right, right.
And, yes, the fuel is more costly. So, of course, the shippers are charging more. So the manufacturers have to also charge more.
We're back down in fuel prices to where I don't see any reason for them to upcharge on fuel now, honestly.
Okay, so there you have it. Number 13 on the list is what?
I'm going to take a guess. Honda Ridgeline.
You are correct, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so that's on our list. And we're going, obviously, we're mixing mid-size and full-size trucks. Unfortunately, heavy duties are probably, they're not going to be on this list because heavy-duty trucks are way more expensive. They're more capable. They have bigger engines. Diesels cost a lot of money. Insane.
Yeah, just off the top of your head, I mean, the least expensive heavy duty is probably in the high 40s. Would I be fair to say? I mean, for nothing.
And we're talking about 2 doors.
Yeah.
Maybe crank windows.
Yeah.
2-wheel drive.
Just the
high
absolute-
40s. And then, of course, if you want a diesel, add $10,000 on top of that.
I mean, seriously, diesels are remarkably expensive on top of that.
That maybe is another show. We can do another show only on heavy duties because when we have new information, right?
Right, because right now it's a little stale, but we are getting some information soon.
Yeah, and within a couple of weeks.
Exactly. So let us know, by the way, in the comments if you want to see that show. But let's talk about the Honda Ridgeline. Now, we mentioned this vehicle before. We know a lot of you are like, it's not a truck. And then a lot of you other guys are like, no, it totally isn't. Why don't you call it a pickup truck instead of what I like to call it as the crossover pickup? And that's because I'm trying not to offend people, and it doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to offend you. So I'm going to say this. It is a damn good little pickup. It actually is one of the most comfortable in the midsize class, and it does compete in the midsize segment. It is based loosely on the Pilot and the minivan and whatnot, although it does have a rear subframe that's very different. Can tow up to 5,000 pounds, and I believe its maximum payload is around 1,500 pounds. Am I correct?
Yeah, they have really good payloads.
It's like a really good payload number.
Actually, for a base model, it's approaching like almost 1,700 pounds, which is like half-ton territory, really.
Right, and it's one of the best in class for that.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things to like about it. I almost bought one. Long story short, it was just a slightly above my budget. But regardless of that, it's still relatively expensive for people who have a $40,000 budget. Am I right?
Exactly. And 2023s are now out. We're looking at the configurator. If you're watching us on TFL Talk channel, thank you. If you're listening to us, also thank you, of course. But 2023s are out, and As we're talking, I'm kind of building a couple of them on the configurators.
Right, there's the Sport right there that you have in the one color, the one of two colors that you don't have to pay money for. Otherwise,
Lunar Silver.
actually, it looks good. I mean, at least the picture here.
Yeah.
And they have color. Well, they're not color matching wheels, but they definitely are painted wheels.
Yeah.
The overall image of this little pickup is quite good. I think it's a great looking little machine, but it's still getting a little bit old, even though it's new, if that makes sense.
Well, it was refreshed in 2021 model year. So
Right.
It's hard to believe, but we're now in the
2023
second model year after that refresh.
Isn't that crazy?
But here's the one I want to make a point about. It's standard all-wheel drive.
Yes.
Standard V6.
Yes.
Standard 9-speed automatic.
That is correct.
So you cannot get a two-wheel drive version anymore.
No, they used to have front-wheel drive ones,
Yeah.
which lowered the overall price, but not by a significant amount. I really do think this is a very good deal. And this is one of those great pickups for people who do not need to tow a heavy load and are DIY people who perhaps just don't need the capability of a full frame underneath them and all that. And by the way, pretty economical too on the highway.
Yeah, they can be, if you're nice with that V6, it will return pretty good economy.
Yeah.
Price here is $39,435 after destination charge. But here's the good news. Destination is $1,295.
Which is on the lower end
yeah,
of
on the
destination.
lowest of the low.
Is it the lowest?
Yes. I think Honda is probably the most frugal as far as destination charges.
Which is
Thank
awesome.
you, Honda.
Yes, thank you. Now, I've talked directly to Honda, and they are selling every single one they're making. If you are able to find one and you're able to get it at MSRP, jump on it.
Actually, I want to correct myself. Also, Toyota Tacoma and Hyundai Santa Cruz are matching those delivery costs.
I thought so, but I didn't want to.
But those are
interrupt you.
small trucks also. So I think it's also based on the size of the vehicle, right? So, yeah.
Tacoma competes directly with the Ridgeline,
yeah.
but not the Santa Cruz.
Yeah, Santa Cruz in the class lower, and we'll discuss that.
Yes, we will.
So, yeah, like we said, the Ridgeline is still a good deal, but they're popular. And they're, like you said, they're selling a lot of them, so you may not be able to negotiate this price.
Yeah. That's the tough part. But anyway, good luck in finding one. Another truck or pickup that Andre and I really do think a lot of. It's a brave move to make, and they were way ahead of both Ford and Hyundai by producing this thing. So hopefully they'll update it real soon with some new powertrains. That'd be cool.
Yeah, the new Pilot is rumored. We've seen prototypes of the new
Yeah,
Pilot.
I'm pretty sure they're going to use the same powertrain, but that's a guess.
And new styling, perhaps,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So, number 12 on our list
Which is surprising as hell.
is the new Jeep Gladiator.
I can't believe this is on this list because they're
there-
stupid expensive.
There is one reason it's on this list, because it runs the gamut from being on this list and also being the $70,000 mid-size truck.
Oh, or more.
Or more
Yeah.
sometimes. So let's build one here. So what are we talking about?
Sport, I would imagine.
It's a sport. Once again, four-wheel drive only.
Yeah, they only come standard with four-wheel drive. And this is one of only two trucks sold in the United States that has an available manual transmission.
Sport. But it's not just four-wheel drive only, my friend. It's also removable top and removable doors.
That's right. It's the only convertible pickup truck available in the United States as well, unless you take a Sawzall to your truck.
Why did they paint these wheels so black we can't even see it?
Yeah.
That's not my favorite look.
I see. I'm not really big with black wheels because I always feel it takes, unless it's a black vehicle and you want that, like murdered out, whatever they call it, look. By the way, that green looks really good on it.
Oh,
but it's
but-
$395, so I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, you have to pay $395.
But that's a good-looking green, isn't
green,
it?
yes.
And actually, that helps with the black wheels.
They call it Sarge Green.
Yeah, because
Sweet.
yeah, it's cool. But anyway, the least expensive, actually, there's only one now. So if you get it in white, which is essentially a refrigerator white, which by the way I don't hate, but
By the way, this is one of the most modifiable trucks too.
oh, by
Because
far.
the aftermarket for Jeeps is insanely huge. So maybe it's worth buying the white one and then wrapping it in your
doing
customized,
whatever you want,
thing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, remember, for those of you who, I don't know, may not be familiar with the Gladiator, it is related to the Wrangler. As such, there are components that can be swapped from one to the other in some cases. But They are really expensive vehicles, and one of the few that really hold their value almost as good as, I think, right around the same level as Toyota.
Yes, and also it's one of the very, very few pickups on this list with a manual transmission.
I mentioned that.
Yes.
There's only 2 trucks out there that have manuals as an option. I happen to like this manual transmission with only one issue, and that is reverse. I don't like shifting it into reverse. Some people don't like the throws on it, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, 3.6 liter V6 Pentastar. We all are familiar with this engine. It's been around for decades.
It's a solid engine.
Yes. And reliable too, because we've had a Gladiator with this engine. Tommy has had a Jeep Wrangler with this engine.
Yep.
No issues with the
No
powertrain.
issues. Really, if you want to talk about the main issue of this, if you got the manual transmission, and the only way you can get it is with this Pentastar, you are limited with towing. You will not be able to tow very much. It is the least amount. I believe it's 3,500 pounds or...
Yeah, well,
in that
first
realm.
of all, it's also limited by the axle and the axle ratio.
Right.
And you have to step up to the Rubicon to actually tow a lot. Or actually not the Rubicon, but the Rubicon type axles.
Right.
Underneath your
And there are ways
Gladiator.
to configure that, but nonetheless, you will not be able to tow anywhere near its maximum, which is over 7,000 pounds.
You have to pay attention to that.
Yes, you do.
And if you need to tow, make sure you ask and look at that information.
Without a doubt.
But $38,970 here. It's shown for 2023 model. 2022 model was just about $200 less. So yes, everything is creeping up model year to model year. That's true, of course.
I think I can handle a $200 price hike. I'm not happy about the $1,000 and $2,000 and more.
And more in some cases.
Yeah, a lot more in some
like
cases.
recent news about the Lightning, they jacked it up by $6,000 to $7,000.
Which is not on this list. Big surprise because it's stupid expensive.
Okay, sorry I mentioned it.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah, so the next truck, and I may need a little bit of time actually. The other thing on the Gladiator that I really love is, well, not just it's the most modifiable truck, right?
Yeah, sure.
But just I can't get over that it's also a convertible. It blows my mind.
And you know what's really cool? Basically, it's the same convertible top as the Wrangler with the exception of the back component, of course, because it doesn't have to have that back component, right? And it's really easy just to unclip 2 parts and just throw it back, and suddenly you have like a giant sunroof. All the goodness of a convertible without the need to actually go completely back, and it's really easy to manually open and close it. And then they have other versions that you can actually get a hard top. Well, it's a Freedom Top or whatever they're calling it now, and some other stuff.
Yeah, of course, that's a little bit more pricey.
It's a lot more pricey, actually. But if you live in cold weather country and you want a rear defrost and blah, 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 then that's where you go. Now, we are still on FCA. God, I said FCA, didn't I?
Ooh.
Stellantis. I'm sorry. Sacre bleu. I just definitely threw that one out there. Anyway.
Stellantis. But who can keep track of this?
That's
a
the problem.
lot of folks are still on Chrysler.
I know.
They're calling it Chrysler.
Which is so much easier, actually. We should actually just do that. Just say Chrysler. It's not going to offend anybody anymore, right?
But I was just in Detroit a couple weeks ago, and we drove down, the factory row, and there's still humongous signs on buildings, Stellantis buildings, that say Chrysler.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're just going to keep that there because the brand Chrysler still exists as well.
It exists.
So you might as well just keep it there, right?
So the next on our list, number 11, is the Ram 1500 Classic. Classic is a key word here.
Yes, it is.
Classic is because it's the previous generation body that they're still building to this day.
Because people love it. People love the old one.
Yeah.
And it's cool for them because, the stampings and everything else have been more than paid for. So for them to produce this truck, which is not as advanced as their newer truck, makes a lot of sense. And then on top of that, you get the tradesman version, which, according to them, starts under $30,000.
Yeah, and it's a basic 2-door, short, well, not that short, but 6-foot 4-inch bed, but just a shorter wheelbase truck. But I want to dress it up a little bit because we've been talking about kind of 4-door pickups. And so if I pick a quad cab 4-wheel drive, it jumps up a lot, actually, to $36,000.
That's,
see this?
Yeah, I don't like that. It shouldn't be that
But
expensive.
still, it's on our list.
Phooey.
It's on the
too
list.
expensive.
Oh,
But
what?
But remember, you can get for under. But now, if you get the one that's this one that he's talking about, you have that very same Pentastar we were talking about. Now, in both the Jeep and in this vehicle, they're perfectly good for around town. They
Yeah.
plenty of pickup, get up and go. They are not great
For towing.
powertrains
No.
for towing heavy objects. Light objects are fine, but the truck weighs a lot, and to move it around with that powertrain, it's a bit difficult. So anyway, Andre is going to look at the base package here. It looks like you are required to get it. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, we're still talking about the tradesman.
Yeah.
So the tradesman is basically their work truck trim. And you can get it with 4 doors. They call it the quad cab. You can still get it, like you said, with the V6. Of course, if you want the V8, the Hemi is still available.
$2,200.
Yeah, which is a sizable chunk, but
It
you're
is.
getting
You know
a lot
what?
more power.
I would personally do that only because, in terms of efficiency, it's not that much of a difference between them.
So how would you, let's configure your dream classic.
My dream classic?
Yes.
Well, you don't have to. It's right there. All you have to do is go over to Warlock, click over to 4x4.
Okay. But dude,
And-
you're increasing the price too.
$44,000.
But it's a 4x4 with a, let's see, does it give you a V8?
I
Let's take a look.
believe.
No.
Oh, it doesn't.
Oh, let's do the V8.
All right, do the V8. Okay, that's a lot more money then.
So Warlock is another one that it kind of looks like their previous generation Rebel.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're getting some extra stuff on there. I believe you get some interior touches. But remember, this is the classic, so you don't get the modern screen or anything else that's in the new one.
Still, you're still at 43 grand
yeah, I mean, that's a
for
pretty good
V8 powered full size pickup.
4x4.
4x4.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty damn good price for a truck. And if I recall, the Warlock had a pretty nice looking interior as well. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I want to build my dream classic Ram.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's see if you can keep it anywhere near my price.
So no, I'm gonna go extreme. I'm not gonna go for a. I'm just gonna do two door
Okay.
tradesman, 4-wheel drive, with a V8. I'm gonna build like a sport truck.
Yeah, actually, building something like that might be a decent
Let's see,
off-road
let's
or
see,
a
let's see.
platform for off-roading.
Well, but only for me. With my family can stay at home, and maybe I'll invite you,
thank
and
you.
you and I will go just together.
Sounds like a fishing truck. And the best part is, neither of our wives listen to our podcast.
So they don't
So
care.
they're going to get in trouble. We're not getting in trouble for this. Please do not tell them. by
But
the
look
way.
at this. 4-wheel drive V8 2-door Ram 1500 Classic. Even after the V8 and destination charges, we're still close to 40 grand. And then with some discounts they're offering now, national retail bonus. They're using the word Chrysler Capital Bonus.
Probably because that's
Yes.
been the... Yeah.
37,255. That's a great deal.
That's a really good deal, even by today's standards. Now, the question is whether or not you can actually get a truck like that.
You'll probably have to order it.
I would imagine you have to order it, but here's some interesting news that I caught a win from other journalists, too. Stellantis, a lot of their vehicles are going at or below MSRP. They're trying to clear off their lots. They have a huge chunk of new inventory that will be coming in the near future, all new vehicles, all new platforms. So, yeah, they're trying to move some of this stuff and get it out of there. So something worth looking at.
And also, they just announced, we did a previous episode on the latest 2023 Rams.
Mm-hmm.
This is the new body style, new technology. They're adding a lot to it. The TRX is still there.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to maintain the TRX. So a lot of excitement in the space, but higher prices.
Exactly.
So
Not in this case, though.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next truck.
the next on our list is number 10, which comes from Toyota.
There it is. Now,
Tacoma. I'm talking about the Tacoma.
of course, the Taco.
I'm sorry, no. I'm not talking about the Taco.
Really?
I'm talking about the Tundra.
No kidding. I thought you were going to... Okay.
Taco is also on the list, but not here.
Okay.
Number 10. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. So let's talk about the Tundra. Now, I believe you did a video with a guy who got an SR5, was that it? And he got a pretty good deal on it, but that video was like a year ago.
Yeah, and it's also he got like a long bed too, because he was in the trades business. He needed to carry different
Right.
large implements. Actually, he was doing art. He was also like carving things out of metal or wood.
Okay. All right.
I think that was a tangent that I did not intend to go
No,
down.
that's totally fine. So let's look at what the Tundra has. Well, that's a pretty good base price right there, 35. The question is, at 35,950, can you actually get the truck, or is that before a bunch of other stuff?
Yeah, so this is what I want to explore on just really quickly. So let's configure one. And we have to be super, there's a few caveats.
So the jump from the base model SR to the SR5 is nearly $6,000.
Yeah, it is.
That's a big jump.
Yeah. But you can get the SR for $35,950. Let's just double check this. Yes, it says it's an MSRP, and then it includes their $1,695 destination charge. And they're built in San Antonio.
Right.
Texas.
Which ticks me off because, we should be able to fly out there and get the truck.
And this is a two-wheel drive SR. Here are the caveats I talked about. It still has the 3.5-liter twin turbo, the new engine.
Right.
This is the new Tundra.
Right.
But it's lower horsepower and torque. So it's not the same as some of the other Tundras.
Right, but it is a little bit more efficient.
Well, yeah, it's lightweight. It's a base truck.
Well, Highway is 1 mpg better than all the other ones.
Okay, so, and also, you're not getting, when you're buying the shorter cab, they're calling it, what do they call it, double? They're calling it, well, the extended cab. You are also getting a smaller tank. We were
really?
Yeah, we were recently at the Overland Expo here in Colorado, and many people. By the way, thank you if you came up to us.
Yeah, that was great seeing you guys when you came out and saw us.
Yeah,
and a lot of you did, which
really
is great.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
one friend came over and he said that he did choose the extended cab version of the Tundra, but he was surprised. Andre, he told me I was surprised by a slightly smaller tank. Because it's like 22 gallons versus 26 gallons.
That's more than slightly smaller.
In the crew cab. And he was going to do overlanding, and range was very important to him.
Yeah.
So these are small changes, but they can matter a lot.
Well, I guess this is one way for them to convince people, hey, you really want that SR5 for almost $6,000 more. But the other side of it is, the SR at $35,950. We should configure this and just see what it is out the door. I'm curious to see whether or not you can actually get one.
With a few options?
Yeah,
let's take a
whatever
look.
the basics are.
Yeah, they're calling it a double cab. It's a 6.5-foot bed. And by the way, steel wheels. And here, I want to bring up another topic really quick. Actually, two topics. First, how do you buy a base truck like this and avoid regrets? You see what I'm saying? Like, are you going to buy this SR, in this case, and regret not getting an SR5 because of the fuel tank or maybe some...
question or something like that? Of course you're going to regret it. But
unless how do you avoid that?
Well, simply put, if you have a large company that does deliveries or light towing or whatever, and you need an inexpensive truck that has Toyota's reputation for solid trucks, this might be the way to go. Perhaps if you owned a fleet, through the government or whatever, that would make sense to buy these.
Sure.
But if you want a truck that you could take on road trips and you enjoy it a little bit more, the SR5 makes more sense, and you will regret this. I mean, that's the truth.
Well, I kind of went through this. I bought an XL F-150, right?
Right.
And I had a big dilemma to face. I was facing this. Do I get the XL? Add a couple of options to it, like. I wanted to make sure I had, cruise control at least, right? Different things like that. The latest infotainment system, that was important to me. And I was able to add small options to get that. Or do I get an XLT and jump in price, a big multi-thousand-dollar...
But get those things standard.
Yeah, and get those things standard. And that's where the manufacturers, unfortunately... That's how they design those packages.
Of course, they want to nickel and dime you and get whatever,
Or make you to jump, make you a step up to that next level.
Where you shrug and say, a couple $1,000s more, I can pay that off and, whatever.
So you have to do that on a case-by-case basis.
Right. In the Toyota thing, strictly based on the fuel tank alone, that would be the only reason why I would truly regret buying this.
But that's cab-based, so the wheelbase. The wheelbase is shorter. That's why it has a smaller tank. So you got to pay attention to that.
I do understand that. So in other words, if you went up to a larger cab...
Yeah, the full crew.
Then you get the larger tank.
Yeah.
Okay. And you could still get that in the base model.
Exactly.
But you're paying more, obviously, because of the full crew cab. And I'm willing to bet that once you do that, you probably will drop a little bit with your fuel mileage.
Yeah, because you're adding weight, etc., etc.,
Exactly.
etc. So,
Okay.
so now with a tow hitch and a tow package, this is $36,380.
That's actually a really good price.
Will,
Considering...
yeah, will you find it in a dealer?
No.
Probably no.
No, are you kidding me?
Could you order it? Yes.
yeah.
You'll have to wait.
Yes.
Probably many months. And also, some dealers, I can't believe that they're still marking up these things.
Yeah, some dealerships have been really unscrupulous about it. We've seen that recently, not only here in Colorado, but across the country, including Texas. And, I do hope that you guys keep these dealerships in mind. The argument about dealerships needing to make money and all that, fine. Go ahead and drop that below in the comments. But because of this, automakers are starting to look at the possibility of removing the dealers completely from your buying experience. Don't believe me? Go look at what Ford's doing right now. All right, why don't we move on?
Yeah, well, I want to use
yeah.
this as a jumping point for Matt's question.
Okay, yeah, Matt.
Really quick. So Matt on patreon.com/TFLcar says, hey guys, got a topic I would love addressed on the podcast. Drive modes. And what is your personal opinion on this? Do you think they make a big difference? The latest drive modes that most trucks offer or not offer? I feel like traction control on-off switch is enough. Do you think the average consumer will pay more for vehicles with drive modes? This is from Matt Clausen.
Matt, that's a really good question. And the answer, my simple answer is yes, they absolutely will. But only certain types of drivers. Guys like Andre and I think you and I both agree that I would rather have a very simple setup for doing off-roading. I don't even like hill descent control, to be honest with you. So but I also have a sister and a brother-in-law, and they are completely hopeless when it comes to figuring out what they're supposed to do in various climates, even on loose dirt or in snow. We live in Colorado. And they have a vehicle that has multiple terrain select, and they are able to go through. And by rotating the dial, it does help them. Not only does it help them drive a little bit better, perhaps, in these environments, but more importantly, it makes them feel better about the environments they're driving in. So I think it helps certain types of drivers feel like they have more control and perhaps they have a little bit more confidence, which actually can be a safety thing in itself. Without going too crazy, like, I'm in snow mode, I can go as fast as I want. Most people don't think that way, although some do. So I do think that people will pay more for that, but at the same time, there's plenty of people out there who really don't want it.
So here's my 2 cents for Matt. Before we move on to the next truck on the list, it depends on the manufacturer too. So, for example, I'll give you an example of where it went too far and doesn't make sense to me, and an example where it makes sense.
Okay.
For example, the new Bronco.
Okay.
It has mud and ruts, slippery. I'm just doing this off the top of my head. Normal, sport.
It's the GOAT mode, right?
Yeah, the GOAT modes.
Go over any terrain.
And sand, etc. What is the difference between mud and ruts and sand? I mean, driving the truck, I can barely tell a difference, even on tough terrain, right? So I think that's going too far.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? So on the flip side, like an F-150 has an eco mode, which definitely numbs the pedal, and you have to be in the right mood, right? Let's say you're commuting and you want to burn as little gas as possible.
Right.
Bam, put it in eco mode, nice. If you want to do some off-roading, put it in rock crawl mode, and it actually turns off automatically the traction control system, the stability control system. It helps you a little bit with tire spin. Bam. You really need only like 2 or 3 modes. Why have like 7 modes? I don't get that.
I completely agree with you. But then I meet people who own Land Rover or Range Rover vehicles, and not having a gazillion modes to click into is,
like water fording mode.
Yeah, it makes them feel...
What about like grocery getting mode?
Yes, but they will call that something else. They'll put a pine tree next to it, make it seem like you're still in the outdoors. The point is, and there are 2 answers to this, but I do believe people are willing to pay more to have these modes to make them feel more confident and make them feel like they have more control. And especially for people who aren't used to going off-road or are worried about going into difficult terrain in general.
Yeah, but I think it has to be a clear-cut difference in the driving of the vehicle.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? If it's fine-tuned, the difference between slippery wet road mode and sand mode, if that difference is like 2%, I don't know if you'll be able to understand that.
It would make more sense just to put them both in the same package. And
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, and when you click over to it, it says, snow and sand or something like that. I would agree. I'm just telling you that I do think people would be willing to pay, as the question is referring to, pay more to have those modes because it does make them feel like they have better control and, once again, that they feel like they're more confident.
Number 9 on our list.
Yeah, Ford. There it is. I thought this would be okay. I thought it'd be higher.
This is an F-150.
Yes.
So here's what Ford can do, is they can use their production might, and they build a lot of these things.
They certainly do.
To really offer you a variety of different trim levels and actually bring the price down. You won't find this 2-door short bed truck on a dealer lot, I'll bet. But technically it does exist.
Yeah, every once in a while I see people sending tweets to me, or you for that matter, where you'll see one of these, like a 4-wheel drive version. It's like, oh my God, that's a unicorn. But they do exist. So let's talk about the price of them because it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so if you get this very, very basic, and we're still looking at 2022 model because the 2023 F-150 configurator is not live yet.
Right.
But for 2022, you can get a very basic 3.3 liter non-turbocharged V6, 2-wheel drive, very basic short bed truck for under $34,000. Dude, under $34,000.
I wouldn't touch it.
Why not? Why?
No, it's got to have the other engine. That powertrain, I like it even less than the one we talked about with the Pentastar in the Classic earlier. It's not. It may be for certain people, but for me, in my minor experience with it, I don't think much of it.
Well, if you wanted a runabout, a parts runner,
that would be one thing.
So there's a use case, or like you said, a fleet truck.
A fleet truck,
yes.
Perhaps.
But for your personal use, I would agree. You would probably have to step up to another engine.
Yeah.
You would have to step up to maybe a larger cab, maybe a longer bed.
I would say, are you able to configure that with the base model EcoBoost, the 2.0?
Yeah. Let's take a look. Let's take a look where the pricing goes really fast once you
just for that, right? There we go. So it's $1,285 to get the 2.7,
which is a monster little engine.
That is one of my favorite of all the Ford engines out there, next to the Coyote. Oh yeah, I mean we've had some
Coyote is $2,300.
Yeah, no, I would rather. I mean, it would be cool to have a V8 in this truck, and we love the Coyote in terms of its capability. But I actually would prefer the 2.7, which is a little bit more efficient. And remember, we live in Colorado, high elevation, having turbocharged engines. Those EcoBoosts are rockets up here.
Totally, and also you have to pay attention to this towing. With the base engine, doesn't tow very much.
Exactly, that's another issue.
The 2.7 is a step up, but still, it's not going to be at the maximum level of towing.
No, and with that short wheelbase, you're not going to do a lot of, you really do have to get the longer wheelbase, the extra cab, the crew cab or whatever, in order to really get the towing numbers you're looking for.
So this was a huge jump. I mean, we were talking about the Toyota Tundra in the previous countdown here, at about 35, 36, 37.
Yeah, but
now we jump down to 33.
Yeah, but you are talking about a completely different truck. This one does not have that big cab. It's just not as beefy of a truck right off the bat. That Toyota comes standard with,
4 doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's just the stark difference between the two. And,
right.
And Ford is kind of, they really do a lot of fleet vehicles as well. And that's why they offer all these options.
Gotcha, yeah.
By the way, this red looks kind of nice.
Actually, it looks all right. I would love to see one of those like with a proper 4x4 package, because when you have a short wheelbase like this and short overhangs, you suddenly have a pretty good, material to build a 4x4 out of.
You called it the fishing truck, which is great.
I think it'd be perfect fishing trucks. Yeah,
or little hunting rig or something.
Exactly. You can hold 3 people in there. Most of them do have ability to hold 3 people across a bench seat, and I just think that's awesome.
All right, number 8 on our list.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time?
We're getting up there.
Am I spending too much time on this?
It's my fault.
No,
I'm talking too much.
No.
Let's go to, yes. Okay, here we go.
Chevrolet.
For now.
Yes.
For now, because it's going to change.
So I talked about the might, right? Well, Chevrolet also has the manufacturing might. And they can offer a variety. So they have something called the LTD, which is the limited, versus the next facelifted 2022 truck.
Right.
So they're actually doing similar thing to Ram, where Ram has the Classic and then the Current. So they're doing similar kind of switch
Yeah,
over.
but the big difference there is that the Classic and Current version of the Rams are completely different trucks. These are still a little bit related. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
and they have the similar chassis,
Exactly.
axles. The only differences really are like the grills, the lights,
and the interior.
and some interiors.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So the LTD here is on our list, and you can also get it as a two-door. But now, listen to this: the two-door Silverado has a 2.7 liter turbo as the base engine.
As the base engine. There
The
we
old
go.
V6 standard 4.3 is no more. I'm sorry to say.
No, 460 pound-feet of torque? Was that?
No, 430.
430, sorry. 430.
Which is monstrous engine.
That's more than a lot of the V8s we've talked about.
Yes.
And more than all the V6s we've talked about, pretty much. So you can get that monster powertrain standard, but it comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission, I believe.
Yes, it does. And they said that they're updating that transmission, and there's some reliability issues that we've seen with that transmission in
We've
the
personally
past.
witnessed, yeah.
And so I'm glad they're trying to address those problems and work on that transmission. But why not put a 10 in there?
And just make it 10 across the board like Ford does?
But I think it's price related, of course.
Yeah, and they have a different standard than. And another thing is that there's no short bed standard cab. You have to get the
big
long
8-footer.
bed. Right, which I think makes a little bit more sense for people who are running the business because you just have more utility right off the bat. Although it is, I don't know. I mean, think about it. You got the turbocharged engine, the 8-speed transmission, and a longer box and more capability with that powertrain.
And you could do many things. I mean, yes, we're looking at the two-wheel drive. You can also select four-wheel drive. The long bed could be used for recreation. You know, put a topper on top of it, build that out with like David would, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
With, drawers and beds and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the big thing here between Ford and GM is that with Ford's standard engine, not a lot of punch. GM definitely has a lot more punch with their standard engine, but Ford gives you more room to configure.
Yeah, and actually, if I did go to two-wheel drive, you'll see the price drop if you're watching us on online. The four-wheel drive system is actually pretty pricey.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, one of the priciest I've seen so far. This is number 8 on our list, and the four-wheel drive is like $4,500.
Yeah, but you're also clicked on the 5.3.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. I don't
Here we
know
go.
why you did what you did.
But the four-wheel drive price on this Silverado 1500 is about $4,600, which is more than I've seen.
That's crazy.
You saw the Titan is about $3,000.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, which I thought was too expensive too.
And now it's even more.
46. Wow. So
they make you pay for that four-wheel drive.
and that's so it's a bounce back and forth. Do you go to Chevrolet in this case, which gives you a better powertrain for the price, but I think that Ford makes it a lot easier for you to get into a 4x4. I mean, there's definitely a balancing act between the two.
Totally. Then number 7 on our list. Well, actually, I kind of want to skip that. I had a 2-door tradesman on our list, but we already talked about that.
Okay.
So we'll just skip number 7.
Okay.
Number 7 is that we showed you $31,000.
Yep.
It was ridiculously low priced.
Yeah, that is impressive.
But next is something we haven't talked about. So let me go there now. Is one of your favorite trucks, Nathan, which is the new Frontier.
The new Frontier, yeah. It's not perfect, but I still think it's one of the best trucks in its class right now for what you're getting for the money, mind you. If you want more power, you can look at Ford, at least with torque and towing. If you want more configurability, you go to Toyota. There's a bunch of things out there. However, if you take one of these, especially in the King Cab setup, you still are getting the 3.8 liter V6, which we think is excellent.
310 horsepower.
Yeah, which is right now the most in class.
Yeah.
And also the 9-speed automatic transmission, which is similar to the one they use in the Titan. And we've driven this truck around, and it's proven to be very quiet, very smooth, very comfortable. But mind you, we are talking about the base model. So you get some things standard, you still have to deal without having some of the nice goodies. Okay, so what are we getting for $29,985?
It's the first pickup on our list under 30K.
Yes.
So we've crossed that barrier now.
Right.
Which is, I think, for a lot of you always write us comments, talk about more about $30,000 trucks. And
Yeah, and that's exactly where I am with you guys, by the way. I do not like spending a lot of money, and that was my price, was around the low $30,000 mark for my next vehicle, but we'll go into that in a bit.
So you're getting basically, like you said, the two-wheel drive king cab, and the bed is the slightly longer because it's a king cab. Mm-hmm. So Steely's actually pretty attractive truck.
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you're getting all this stuff, including the 9-speed, like you said. Mm-hmm. But if you want four-wheel drive, what happens? So let me look at my notes. The four-wheel drive will cost you $3,000. I mean, that's kind of where the market is on four-wheel drive.
Exactly. So suddenly you're basically at $33,000 for the base model king cab 4x4. And bear in mind, that's not even the SV, that's the S.
Yes. So you once again have to ask yourself, do you want to step up to the SV? Do you need some of the more nicer features, maybe nice materials inside? Or are you okay with more basic interior?
Well, scroll down and let's look at the SV 4x4.
All right, let's see
King
where that
cab.
lands us.
There we go.
SV 4x4, $34,590.
So on top of what the S would cost you, which is 33-ish, give or take, a little bit more money gets you nicer wheels, more interior goodies, and I believe a couple goodies, even possibly some bed stuff, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, and also tech. You can sometimes get different driver assistance technologies.
Which will come standard on different trims.
Although they're trying to make it offer across the board. Most of these manufacturers are.
But there's one thing that it doesn't come standard with, which drives me crazy. Crazy. Tow hitch.
I know. And the locker is not there either.
Come
on, dude.
But
make a locker.
I agree that there's no locker option unless you go up to the Pro 4X, I believe.
Pro 4X, yeah.
Yeah. And that's a little irritating, but just for a regular working Joe who just needs a standard four-wheel drive vehicle, not having a standard hitch is just ridiculous. So you do have to pay, I think, $400 or something like that for the hitch.
Yes.
I get my wires crossed because I've gone to so many of these other things, but
that seems to be the going price for
give or
that
take.
towing package.
Right.
And the other thing that Nissan didn't do, so for 2022, and we've done many videos with this, they added tow haul mode.
Yeah.
By the way, talking about drive modes makes sense. Tow haul mode modifies your transmission mapping.
Yep.
It helps you descend mountains with your transmission. Wonderful. But they did not give it a brake controller, an integrated brake controller. I don't know why. It's pre-wired for it. You can add one later. But come on, I mean...
No, it should be standard on all of them as far as...
Some of the others have them. The Ranger has it.
The Ranger has it standard, right? Throughout their entire line?
Well, if you get the towing package.
If you get the towing package, yeah, that's what I mean, it's standard. But so with this towing package, you'd think that you'd have that. You don't. You just basically are getting a hunk of metal that's hooked up to your frame and wiring, right?
Yes.
But the other side of it is I still think that the Frontier is an absolutely fantastic truck, much more comfortable, in my personal opinion, than the Tacoma. Way more comfortable, actually. So
I agree. And actually, the ride, they've tweaked the suspension. It's
beautiful.
Wonderful, actually. Yeah. I really enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.
Next on our list is another mid-sized truck, and we're back to Ford. It's the Ranger.
That's right. Now, the Ranger is on the cusp of being not completely, but nearly completely reinvented, basically. It'll have new sheet metal throughout, an all-new front end, possibly new powertrains, upgraded suspension, interior, you name it, tech, but that's later. Right now, you can get what are they calling it?
The Super Cab. I don't like that name.
Yeah.
But it's Super Cab.
Well, the problem with the Super Cab is that it keeps making me think that it's the bigger cab.
Which is Super Crew.
There's
too many supers.
I agree. But you get the bigger box, you get the 6-foot box.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've tried to sit in the back of the Super Cab. I don't fit at all.
Actually, most of these, if you try to sit in the back of a king cab, is also not very comfortable.
Right. And at least for the mid-sized trucks, once you go up to the full size, then
It gets a little better, but not
better.
great. Like
Yeah.
the new Tundra double cab is also not super roomy.
So unless you're sitting behind somebody who's relatively short, large people will have an issue. But in terms of the Ford, man, I couldn't even close the door.
So here's the thing: if you're deciding between Frontier and the Ranger, Frontier, their sales are going up still.
Yep.
I think they have enough, at least most of the supply issues are taken care of for the Frontier. I'm just grasping at it because I see the numbers improving.
I agree with you.
Right, but the Ranger is having supply issues because for whatever reason the Ranger sales have dropped off. It's hard to find the current Ranger. So that might be an issue for you if you're looking for these trucks.
I would agree. And spitballing, by the way, I'm going to add to that. It is built in the same factory as the Bronco, the new Bronco. And it's entirely possible that maybe some of the components, which they do share, are sacrificed to the Bronco.
Or at least the production volume.
Right,
Yeah.
in order to maintain the volume on the Bronco, where they don't mind dropping production a bit on the Ranger because it's going to go away, and they're replacing it with a new one. So look, they never announced that. This is a guess, but I think that it's a logical one at that. Nonetheless, if you can find one of these on a dealership lot, it's entirely possible that they're going to want to get rid of it because once again, it's being replaced.
They have a $1,495 destination charge, so it's a little bit more than some of the others. And also with destination, this one is about $29,000, according to my notes. Let's see if that's true. The XL, because it was actually showing something lower.
Yeah, it was like 25 or something.
That was before destination charges. So let me take another look. And bam. What is this acquisition fee they're adding? $645. Option? No, I didn't select any options. Anyway, you can have this for about $29,200 or below, actually 28-ish. 28-ish.
And remember, this comes standard with that turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, which is a great engine, and it comes with a 10-speed automatic transmission. Those are standard. That comes with even the base model like this. So something worth keeping in mind.
But Ford will charge dearly for the four-wheel drive Ranger. I don't know
what
why.
What option did you get? I didn't even see you click on an option.
Oh, here it
standard.
is.
Uh-huh.
So let me delete that.
And we're going to drop that price a little
I didn't click any options. They made me click. It was pre-clicked.
To trick you into doing it. Curse them.
So here we go. 28,120.
That's more like it.
That's a two-wheel drive Ranger.
Okay.
Decent. But see what happens when I add four-wheel drive? Just 1 second. Hold on a second. So if I go back here, I flipped it. Just watch that number up here.
Okay.
If I flip it to four-wheel drive, that's at least $4,000.
Yeah.
Let me look deeper. Here we go. And the survey says 33.1. What?
Okay.
This is what I mean.
Yeah.
So the price jumps up dramatically.
Yeah, and just like we're looking at here, for those of you who are not able to watch, we are looking at the pricing summary on these things. And this is only based on what we're seeing online. This isn't based on what we're learning about at the actual dealership, which of course can be very different. But it does appear that there's going to be a significant jump going to four-wheel drive, which is why when we mentioned Jeep or when we mentioned even the Ridgeline, those had their own value based on the fact that they came standard with four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Okay. Should we move on?
Yeah. Number 4 on the list
Is the one I thought was earlier. Yeah.
is the Tacoma.
The Taco.
The Taco.
This is a saggy old Taco by comparison because they're about to replace it with a crispy brand new one.
Yeah, but that crispy one is supposed to be 2024 model year.
Ooh.
So it's still about a year away.
It's about a year away. But this is good news for you guys because, first of all, the Tacoma is in its class, other than the Jeep, the most configurable vehicle out there, once again, in its class. There are various cabs available, various powertrains available, and it's the only one that does offer a manual transmission in some of these trims, which is great. Still has the V6, which has proven to be fairly reliable, plus it has the old 2.7 4-cylinder. We do not know whether or not that either of those will make it to the next level of production.
Yeah, there are rumors about this, but nothing official.
Nothing official, nothing solid. Now, despite the fact that I am not a huge fan of the comfort levels, for me, the big guy, inside the Tacoma, it is an outstanding, solid, really good-looking truck. Am I right?
Yeah, I did a video about this, recently. I had the rental truck, which was a Tacoma SR.
Yeah, that was when you were at the show.
Yeah, at the work truck show. And it was a 2.7 liters base engine.
Yeah.
Not very powerful.
No.
But it got me what I needed to do. It got me to the show. It got me around town. It got me back. But it was a little bit, a lot underpowered in this new truck.
What's really weird is that I'm looking at the estimates in terms of MPG, and you can bounce it up from that 2.7 to the V6, and essentially they're the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that old tech, but once again, Toyota is about keeping the old tech going and making it reliable.
As long as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Now, if you do get the SR, you can get it with that 4-cylinder, and that's, I think, what we're going to focus on here. And that comes with the 6-foot bed and the double cab.
Yeah, and really simple also. Very simple interior. Like you said, it's going to be redesigned within a year. They're probably going to turbocharge their new offering.
We're hearing lots
because everybody is going this way,
Yeah.
including GM with the Colorado.
That's correct. Plus, we're hearing coil springs are a possibility in the rear, new tech on the interior. All of that makes sense, by the way. But rather than talk about that, let's talk about the SR. Is there anything under the SR? No. The SR is where it starts, and the SR, I believe, is...
Well, you can have a crew cab or an
Right.
access cab. Yeah. And if you go to powertrain, let me just select this. The 2.7 liter is available with four-wheel drive as well.
Yeah.
So you can have that.
But you can't get the manual transmission with the smaller engine,
Yes.
which is strange. It used to be different.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Not only that, but it'd probably make a more drivable truck, right?
And more affordable.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's just yeah.
But they're paring down because if it's not popular, Toyota, they're not number one or one of the number one automakers for no reason. They know how to market a vehicle, and so they know that people are just not buying them. So if you want to get the manual transmission, you have to get the V6. Suddenly you're paying more money.
Yeah, and also like in one of their sportier models too.
Right.
Which, okay, it's more an enthusiast truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes sense that manual transmission would be there.
Right.
But like you see here, 159 horsepower in this puppy. That's not a lot of power.
Well, let me put it to you this way. It's less than the small trucks that we're going to be talking about later, or small pickups.
Yeah, compacts.
Yeah.
It's even less. So if you can find this, great. You probably won't see these on the lots, but they're still selling a lot of Tacomas. No matter what anybody says, they're still number one.
They are still by a margin, but
It's huge.
we are starting to see movement from the other automakers, and we suspect that with General Motors coming out with pretty much brand new trucks to compete, and we're going to be seeing a new Ford Ranger that's going to compete. It's going to become a much tighter race, which makes sense if you think about the fact that that'll give the automakers a chance to get their product out there, and then all of a sudden, right when it looks like Toyota might lose the number one mantle, they have a brand new Tacoma. So it better be a winner.
Whammo.
Yeah, whammo.
So now we're in the top three.
Okay.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. Let's do the top three.
Number 3 on our list is the current 2022 Chevy Colorado.
Now remember, current. They're about to come out. We were just talking about this with an all-new, pretty much all new. I mean, it has a longer wheelbase, new powertrain, new almost everything.
New interior, everything.
The exterior. So the new Chevy Colorado will be a much more powerful truck with one standard engine, one transmission. That's it. And also, I believe, one cab configuration. I don't think you can... Will there be two cab?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So crew cab only and 5'2" 2" bed only.
That's it.
In the next generation.
Right.
So this is your perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Folks.
If you want a Chevrolet base model, I believe you
Extended cab. Longer bed. I'm sorry, this is taking
It's
a little
really
while.
slow, right?
They don't want me to select this. This is a secret.
This is Mary Barra saying, no. You want the more expensive one later.
There it is. There's that puppy.
Thank you. Okay.
Look at that puppy. It's gorgeous.
$26,875. Another vehicle that has a tiny seating area in the back, so I do not recommend it for families.
And a tiny engine.
Yeah.
It's a 2.5 liter standard 4-cylinder.
Yes, it is. Are you able to click on the information on that and get the specs on it? Because I believe it has a little bit more power.
200 horsepower.
Yeah, so it has a little bit more power,
Yeah.
a little bit more torque than the Toyota powertrain,
Yes.
and a 6-speed automatic transmission.
Yes.
So I think
no manuals. The
last
manuals
year
have gone away.
Last year, right? I think it was when they got rid of the manual, and the manual was only available last year on the 4-cylinder as well.
Yeah, and I guess it proved not popular, so it's gone. Bam.
Right.
Done.
And you cannot get this 4-cylinder with the 4-wheel drive either. So basically,
let me see if you can. They might let me.
Oh, it looks
they
like
let me.
Yeah, I had no idea, to be honest with you.
So once again, Chevrolet been having trouble meeting demand on the Colorado, including like all the local dealerships we have here.
Right.
Colorados or Canyons actually are hard to find.
Oh my God! You go past the lot, you see like 2 of them out there,
Or maybe zero.
Oh, you're right, where there should be like 50.
Yeah.
Now look at that price for this 4x4 work truck version WT. So it's the absolute bare bones one, $30,775. That's actually really good.
Yeah, so you're still around that $30,000 range. You
For
still
four-wheel
get,
drive.
Yeah, so that's still very, very affordable if you could find it.
Yeah.
If you could find one, grab it because, yeah.
Just real quickly, see what happens when you knock it up to a 4-door, proper 4-door.
The crew cab.
Yeah, the crew cab.
Let me see.
By the way, I still think that the Colorado is a pretty good-looking truck.
It's attractive, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you don't have all the schmutz hanging off of it and all the other.
Oh, they also have crew cab long box.
No kidding.
So that's, if you want one of those, because that's not going to be available in the next generation
No,
either.
it's not. None of these are really,
Yeah.
other than this.
Here we go, 33-ish, 33.5.
That's really not too bad. Is that still with the 4-cylinder? Wow.
I don't know. You have to get the
go to
V6 now.
Which honestly, the V6
It's a bigger truck.
It's a bigger truck, and it makes sense, and it's also a really good engine. It's not the best, but it's decent for what it is. Over 300 horsepower, I believe.
Yeah, and the thing without non-turbo V6 engines across the board, what we discussed, they're higher revving. You kind of have to rev them higher.
Yeah, you really do.
To get the maximum power.
Yeah, that is correct. So it looks like a pretty good pricing actually for Chevrolet, but bear in mind, they're pretty much killing production on this, and they're going to start with all new production on the new one pretty soon. So if you want one of these, I would jump in now if you even can.
Yes.
This
Number
one,
2 on our list.
Boy, am I
is-
familiar with this one. It is the Hyundai Santa Cruz, front-wheel drive, mind you.
Yes.
So that would be, now there's the SE, there's the SEL, and then you go up from there. So bear in mind that there are 2 powertrains available. And then amongst those 2 powertrains, the base model, which has the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine,
Right.
That one can have a front-wheel drive option. Whereas if you get the turbocharged one, you have to get all-wheel drive.
Here it is. You know how they always show you on these sites, manufacturer sites, the top of the line model?
Yeah.
So you always desire, the extra, nice wheels
Yeah.
and paint,
Yeah.
great paint jobs. Where are the base trucks?
Well, here's an interesting thing. Go ahead and try to configure one. You're going to find that even the base truck looks pretty good. One of the things Hyundai did, and they were very smart about this, is they didn't go with too many differences in terms of the looks. So, yeah, the wheels are a little bit different, but the SE to the SEL Premium, if you jump from one to the other than, like little things, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. So, the SEL comes at $24,400. That's the starting MSRP. That is front-wheel drive. That is also with an 8-speed automatic transmission, not the twin clutch or the dual clutch. 191 horsepower, 2.5-liter GDI 4-cylinder engine. It's the most fuel efficient amongst them. And also, you lose a lot of towing capacity. So I believe with the turbo, you could tow up to 5,000 pounds.
Yeah, this one is like
3,500.
Yeah, 3,500.
Yeah, it goes up to 3,500 for the SESCL.
With a special towing package.
You have to get the package, yes. But the good news is, if you decided to get an SC and you wanted all-wheel drive, you can get it, and I think it's a $1,500 bounce. But
Let me double check.
Yeah, double
By the
check.
way, we have a long-term Santa Cruz.
yes, we do.
And we were kind of working this out with Hyundai initially. This was a year ago.
Yeah.
And I really, really wanted that base motor, right? All-wheel drive thing. It just wasn't available. They
they're really hard to get.
We got a turbocharged one instead.
It was actually easier for them. We didn't even get the color. I think I think we did
get
the color.
Get the color.
That was the only thing we got that we wanted.
Like the desert color.
Yeah, which, by the way, looks fantastic. All their colors look really good. Hyundai is absolutely killing it. We must be losing internet here. Hyundai's been killing it when it comes to color combinations. Now, if you're wondering, the base, and I only know this because I've ordered one. I'll get to that in just a second. But essentially, if you're talking about Hyundais, you're talking about 4 color combinations that I can think of off the top of my head. So they have a green, which is
kind
sage.
of nice too.
Yeah, that's the one I want, by the way. They do have a wonderful blue, which is kind of a turquoise one. They have that sand color. Now, there are some price bounces for some of these. They don't have anything like a bright yellow or anything like that. They do have black and they have white as well. So there are only a few color options out there. And then in terms of interior, you can get 2 different colors. There's a black and there's a gray. By the way, I recommend the gray, breaks it up a little bit. But then there's 2 different options in terms of what you get in terms of trim. Once you start going to the premium level, you get the much nicer interior with the larger screen, which ironically not everybody loves because the way it's designed, there's no hard buttons or anything like that, or very few. And some people really don't like that. So that's kind of interesting. You can also get a sliding window. That is an option on higher trims. And they also have an activity or active package, which I think is over $3,000 on the base model versions.
So did you say you ordered one?
Yes, I did. So I'm not going to go into the whole story about it.
We can do that later.
Yes, exactly. If I get it. Just about a month ago now, I ordered one. I decided I wanted to get the SEL model without the roll top thing, which means without the activity package. I just wanted the base car 1 step higher so I'd get the heated seats, and with some basic things, very few options other than the tow package, because I wanted to keep the price around in the low $30,000 zone. That's exactly what I wanted. And because my wife gave me permission to get something in that price. So it was between that and the Ford, and I'll go into all the explanations why I decided not to get the Maverick, because it was actually a little bit less expensive, just a little bit. But if I wanted all-wheel drive, couldn't get the Maverick hybrid, so it was a weird balance.
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, I got the Santa Cruz, and the Santa Cruz, well, I hope to get it. If it arrives, if I can get it by the end of this month, we're now in September, then I'll be thrilled. But if it doesn't come by the end, then I'm going to go to an alternative vehicle, which I'm not going to announce.
Okay.
But I really do want this. It will fit in my garage, and it's a family car. That's why I'm getting it.
Did your wife, did you guys go for a test drive? Did she climb around it?
What I did was 6-7 months ago, whenever we had the red Honda Ridgeline.
Yes.
Was that 6 months ago, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. I brought that home and I showed her because I thought I really wanted her to like it. And she did. She liked it quite a bit. But then she was like, is there anything a little bit smaller? Well, then I brought home a Maverick. And she did not like the Maverick. And it's strange. She was okay with it. But she just felt that she liked the Ridgeline a little bit more. Okay. So then a little bit later, I got in and out of the cars and everything else. And finally got her into the Santa Cruz, and she thought the Santa Cruz was the most comfortable, the easiest to drive.
The interior is nice, actually.
It's actually quite nice, even
nice
on the base model.
Yeah.
We went to a dealership and we drove it around a little bit. She liked driving it, and it was once again the base model, not the turbo or anything like that. And even though we live up here, 191 horsepower seemed more than adequate. And nobody does videos on the ones with the base model, by the way, which ticks me off. And I prefer the 8-speed automatic transmission, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Yes,
that was it.
She basically said, I'm sold. This is a great vehicle. I told her, well, honey, we can't tow a big trailer. She said, fine, as long as it can, because
you can call me.
Well, thanks. No. There's like some out there that are like 2,000 pounds that we might, or 2,500 pounds.
Yeah, there's many options now.
Yeah, which it'll totally tow. It'll totally tow. And it has a lot of interesting gear underneath it, and we'll go over all that in the future. So yeah, that's why I'm getting it. Real quickly, the Maverick, I love. I absolutely adore. It deserves Truck of the Year. It's a fantastic vehicle. I totally would have bought one. I really actually wanted the hybrid, right? But we live in Colorado. We need all-wheel drive.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I sat in one for a while, and I just didn't find it as comfortable as the Hyundai. That's me. That's my body type. That was the only reason why I decided not to try to push the Maverick on my wife. That didn't sound right, did it? Push the Maverick. Okay.
Are you talking about Tom Cruise? No.
Shut up. He's too short for her.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So number one on our list is the Maverick.
Of course.
It's the most affordable little tiny pickup.
It is, but it's not as affordable as it used to be.
Yeah, well, and it's not as gettable. I mean, as anything else.
I know, seriously.
I mean, they're so popular. They're selling lots of these, or as many as they can, but they cannot build as many as people want. So it's, once again, very difficult to get. And eventually, I'm just hoping that an all-wheel drive hybrid will just appear. And we'll have a hybrid that's efficient and nice.
Lots of rumors about that. Lots of rumors about an ST version. Rumors about a plug-in hybrid version. And we know for a fact that they even have a much more capable off-road capable Tremor, which you got a peek at.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have a video out there on that. Go to alltfl.com and you will be able to find it quickly. But I wanted to show some people something interesting. Okay, so let's start the build on the on the hybrid. Sorry, once again
on the XL.
On the XL, that's the absolute base model. And the cool thing right out of the park is the fact that this thing gets stupid good fuel mileage. It's fantastic. Basically, 40 miles per gallon is what you can get. And I think they drive great. I think there's plenty of power. They haul okay. However, you are talking about, I believe, around a 2,000-pound tow rating. And you really should not go above that. It's not built for it.
Exactly. It's about cooling it, cooling the powertrain.
Yes.
It's about many things like brakes, etc., etc. So
it's just not up. It's really not set up for it. I'm sure that they'll probably have something in the future.
And they have a 4K package, but not with a hybrid.
Yes. So what if you wanted to get an all-wheel drive one? This one is around 21, 22 realistically, right? What's
22-ish,
okay.
Yes, with destination.
In order to get all-wheel drive, you have to first of all get the EcoBoost. You click over to that.
And then start building that.
Mm-hmm. And then go over to down there. And
all-wheel drive. Ooh, $2,600 for the all-wheel drive.
Right, so click on that.
And $25 already.
Exactly.
Without any options.
So that's with no options. It is much less expensive than the Santa Cruz, but in my book, the Santa Cruz is a little bit more sophisticated, and this is turbocharged, mind you, which is great. Mm-hmm. But the Santa Cruz is a little bit more car-like. It just has a little bit more of that type of feel to it. This is bare bones, and it's not,
actually, I don't think it has cruise control. In this XL.
Well, you go ahead and look at the.
Anyway, so yeah,
but
no,
look
I
at
totally.
all the options. Ford's finally beginning to figure this out. They've got a crazy amount of options, including toppers that you can get online. By the way,
$3,400 for a topper. That's a little bit insane.
That's major insane. And that's where they get you is that the minute you start adding the options.
I think my dream Maverick, if there was such a thing, would be like low 30s, turbocharged all-wheel drive FX4. You know, the FX4 is a little bit more tough, and it's got different tires, different wheels.
Yeah.
I just like that type of look. But once again, for $33,000-ish, which is the last FX4 Maverick I saw, I can get like a Colorado four-wheel drive. You know what I'm saying?
That's what a lot of people are kind of, trying to figure out. But here's an important point, and it's something you have to consider. They drive very differently. If you jump in and out of, let's say, a Maverick, and then you jump into the current Ranger, they drive into like completely different vehicles. And there might be some people who are willing to spend more on a Maverick and get it close to the level of a Ranger simply because they want that comfortable vehicle that has the utility.
Or maybe a little bit lower.
A little bit lower, exactly. Yeah. Things like that. It's more car-like, the way it handles. Some people like more of a truck. So there are people out there who are willing to pay more for that. The Maverick is still a fantastic deal, even with the all-wheel drive and its little EcoBoost powertrain, which will allow you to tow more. However, once again, the minute you start adding on packages, you start creeping up that price pretty quick. And there are certain things you have to get in a package.
Yes. So there you have it. 14 trucks.
Yeah,
at least.
We dragged this on for a long time, but we wanted to make sure you guys got that information.
Yeah.
And now you do. And we want to know below what you guys would be interested in. And do you think I made the right choice with the Santa Cruz?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
And also, the next opportunity we get our hands on actually some of these more base trucks, we will take that opportunity and do more videos.
Without a doubt, because we want to do that.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.